Clemson's defense in 2024 is going to be a top 5 defensive unit. They're going to be one of the top 5 teams in the nation, with players like Barrett Carter and TJ Parker leading the way.
You are Locked On Clemson, your daily podcast on the Clemson Tigers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Up, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Locked On Clemson podcast. I'm your host, John Bivens. You can follow me over on Twitter at @IamJohnBivens. Hey, thanks for joining us and letting Clemson be your first listen here on the Locked On Clemson podcast, where we are free and available every day wherever you get your podcast and over on YouTube. We are part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it is your team every day. Here on the Locked On Clemson podcast, we're three things. We're all sports. We're all passion, and we are all the time when it comes to Clemson sports and Clemson athletics, bringing you everything you need to know regarding all things Clemson sports. Today is Friday, May 10th. We're going to go through our elite defense, talk through those players. We're going to talk about our Clemson bringing in Lorenzo Ward, Dabo bringing him on to the coaching staff, and we're also going to talk about our Flashback Friday. Why is May 10th important in the history of Clemson? We're going to talk about that, so all that and so much more. Today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Gametime, download the Gametime app now, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. And so Clemson University, when you think of college football, Clemson is one of the teams that come to mind. And that's proven. I don't know if I am so stoked about the college football game coming out in July. I can't wait for it. I'm stoked. I think it's going to be great. Clemson's on the cover. I mean, it's not it's just a little helmet front and center, but hey, they're on the cover. We made the cover. Check it in the spotlight. But Clemson, and when it comes to college football, Clemson is a program that is like, they're going to be great. They're a program that's going to be up there every year. I know right now with the transfer, with Dabo kind of being like, oh, I'm not going to get any transfers. It's gotten on the rocky, but Clemson's a program that's up there. And when you think of Clemson history in football, you think of Deshaun Watson, you think Trevor Lawrence, you think DeAndre Hopkins, you think of these amazing players that came through. But one thing that goes under the radar, it's set by Clemson fans, is how good our defense is. Clemson defense is really, really good, and they have been for a while. Back before 2021 with Brent Venables, our defensive coordinator, I don't know about y'all, but I loved watching as a Clemson fan, seeing our strength and conditioning coach grab Brent Venables and pull him back by the waist. His job was just make sure Brent didn't get unsportsmanlike conduct getting on the field or anything like that. Oh, Brent Venables was electric to watch, and I'm happy for him over at Oklahoma. Wish nothing but success as he's getting his spotlight. I hate that he left, but I'm glad that he's getting his chance to lead over there. But after he left, Wes Goodman came in from the staff, came in from inside, and was brought up to be defensive coordinator. And his first year was a little rocky, a little on edge, but after that, he's been locked in since then. Last year, he had a great defense. There was a lot of holes on that Clemson team last year, but our defense was not one of them. Our defense was a very strong point. And so now, looking forward to the 2024 season, I know it feels so long away. We're in the beginning of May. That's in August, like so far away. But I know it seems like we're far away now, but through this offseason, we're going to talk about our defense. We're going to talk about how electric that is. Our 2024 defense is going to be great. Top 5 in the nation. And we're excited about that. And then through offseason, we'll do player analysis and dive detail into different positions and depth chart and all that. Today, though, as we start talking about this defense, I thought it'd be fun if we go through and give our top 5 players to watch for this season. Our top 5 players on our defense that not necessarily the most talented, but the top 5 that can make a huge impact. So we're going to go through there and talk about those. Number 5, you can't talk about Clemson defense this year without talking about Khalil Barnes. Khalil Barnes was a true freshman last year and played really well. He had some mistakes, but every freshman does. I think this year he's going to be great. I think he's going to come in. Last year he led the team in interceptions. I think this year he's going to come in and he's going to do that again. Now Nate Wiggins gone. We're going to need him to step up a little bit more, but Khalil Barnes is an outstanding player. Really excited to see what all he's going to bring to the table for Clemson and on this Clemson team. Number 4 is none other than TJ Parker. TJ Parker is an electric defensive lineman. I think he's going to be great. I think he's going to be really, really good. He was outstanding last year, and I think this year he's going to be one of the best pass rushers in all of college football. He's going to be one that's on the top 10 list of sacks, on QB hurries, on tackles for losses, and behind the line of scrimmage plays. He's going to be getting into the backfield, making a difference. Excited to watch him terrorize some offenses from behind the line. ACC, they've got some good schools. We've also got a bunch of schools with struggling offensive lines. TJ Parker's going to make them hurt. He's going to make them wish that. I'm really excited to see him make the difference. Number three for us is a player that he might be one of my most favorite players, but he's also one that we need to step up huge. Nate Wiggins left Clemson. He's drafted. He's playing for Baltimore Ravens now. Selected in the first round. Really excited about that. That left a hole at cornerback. That left a hole for us for a star cornerback to take on wide receiver one. And I think we have it. I think Avon Taylor or Avon Terrell is going to be the player that steps up there. If some of y'all, if you don't know, Terrell might sound a little bit familiar, and that's because his brother went to Clemson and was a great cornerback for Clemson over there, and now he's playing in the NFL. But now Avon he's going to come in and he's going to play well. I think he's going to fill that Nate Wiggins hole. He's got the size, he's got the strength, he's got the speed, he's got crazy potential that I really think that he'll play great. He's competing with guys like Shelton Lewis and Jaden Lucas for that number one cornerback role. I think Avon Taylor or Terrell is going to take it over. I really think Avon has got the potential to be QB or cornerback one. I think he'll be there for us. We need him to step up. We need him to replace that Nate Wiggins hole, and I think he can do it. I really think he could be up there. Number two for us is none other than Barrett Carter. Barrett is going to be our leader. Last year, the leader of the defense was Jeremiah Trotter. He left, and he is going to the NFL draft, and he got drafted by the Eagles. Excited to see him fulfill and continue in his father's legacy, playing at Clemson and the Eagles. Wish nothing but success for Jeremiah Trotter. Jeremiah was our leader on the Clemson defense last year. He led the team. He was the guy that when you needed someone to step up, he was stepping up. He was helping the play calls, making sure people were in position. With him leaving, we need that hole's there. The hole for a leader on the defensive side is there, and that's worrisome. That's a little worrisome, right? We're nervous about that, but I think Barrett Carter can do that. I think he is going to be the leader there. Honestly, a lot of people didn't think he would return. A lot of people thought he would go to the draft. They didn't think he'd return, but now he's going to be that starting linebacker for us, and I really think he's going to be good there as the linebackers, as one of those top three, or as our starting lineup and our leader on the defensive side in a player role. He's going to be paired with Sammy Brown and Wade Wood as the other linebackers, and those three, man, good, great linebacker unit. I think Barrett Carter is going to be the leader. And number one, and I'm going to put him high. Most people, maybe you don't have him on this list. There's a freshman this year, a true freshman that's making this, and this is our number one that I think can make a huge impact for Clemson defense, and that's none other than Sammy Brown. Sammy Brown is a 5-star freshman linebacker from Georgia. When we got him, I jumped. I was so excited when we landed him. He's going to be crazy good. He's going to be huge on our defensive line. I think he could push for a starting role to replace one of those three linebackers, not Barrett Carter, but I think he could push for a starting role later in the season. He's going to get a lot of playing time, a lot of minutes. Really excited about Sammy Brown and what he's going to bring to the defensive unit. He's freshman. He's excited. He's ready to go. He is physical. He is strong. He's big. He's quick. He can guard. He can press. He can blitz. He can man coverage. He can zone coverage. He can do whatever you need. He's going to be really good. I'm really excited to see the impact he makes to Clemson defense. Overall, our defensive unit is strong. Overall, our defensive unit is solid, and I'm really, really, really excited to be able to see what's going to happen, with this defensive unit this year. I'm telling you, I believe it. Clemson is going to be a top 5 defensive unit. Throughout this offseason, we're going to break in our defensive linemen. Who are they? Our linebackers, who all are they? Who's all our secondary? We're going to go through all those on a more detailed basis. But for right now, those are our top 5 players. You got Khalil Barnes. You've got TJ Parker, Avon Terrell, Barrett Carter, and Sammy Brown. I think those 5 players can make huge impacts if they stay healthy and lead us on the field. In just a moment, Clemson football, not only is they great defense, they also brought in a new coach, Lorenzo Ward. We're going to talk about that and so much more in just a moment. MLB is in full swing. I'm a huge San Diego Padres fan. Manny Machado, Fernando Tatis, they're just exciting. They're electric to watch. As a Clemson fan, the closest MLB team to me is Atlanta Braves. And so next weekend, Padres go to Braves and play on. And I'm so excited to be able to go watch them. And now with Gametime, it's so much easier for me to find tickets. Gametime is now an authorized ticket marketplace of NBA and MLB. We're getting tickets even faster and easier. Prices on the Gametime app actually go down the closer it gets to tip-off. With killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and the lowest price guarantee, Gametime takes the guesswork out of buying NBA tickets. We all know Padres are good, right? And I can't wait to go watch them in Atlanta. And the Gametime app gives me comfort knowing that I can wait till I go to the game and buy tickets there to get better deals and the best seats. Some of my favorite things about Gametime is I love the fact that you get 60% off when you're buying last-minute tickets. I also love the fact that every single seat before you buy, they give you a panoramic shot so you know just what to expect before you buy the tickets. Take the guesswork out of buying NBA and MLB tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app now, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, use code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Download Gametime today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. Welcome back to the Locked On Clemson podcast. Hey, defense is going to be great. Our defense is going to be electric. Like it's going to be exciting. I'm so ready for that. I'm ready to see what happens there and what happens over Clemson this year. I think our defense is going to be stellar with those 5 players leading the way. We brought in a couple new coaches, right? We brought in some coaches this year. But Dabo Swinney is still our head coach. He's been there for years. He is an amazing coach, and I think he's going to be really good. Obviously, Dabo's good. What am I saying? Dabo's an electric player. He's awesome. I know he's got a little controversy going on with him right now about the transfer portal and all that. And honestly, I don't believe there's some people out there calling for Dabo to get fired. You're dumb. He's proved he can succeed. I do think he's got to adapt a little bit. I do think he's got to come in and make slight changes and bring in some transfers. The fact we're one of only 4 teams in FBS to not have any incoming transfers, and the other 3 are armed forces, that might show that we're doing a little bit something wrong. But anyway, Dabo Swinney's leading the way. We've got Wes Goodwin on our defensive coordinator, and he is great. I think he's proved that he can step in there. Our defense was one of our bright spots last year. Offense, we've got Garrett Riley, who's finding his roots still. He's been there a little bit now. I think this year he's going to play great. He's going to connect with Cade. One aspect we're going to dive into on another episode is the ability for Garrett Riley is going to be in Cade Klubnik's ears, talking in the helmet during the play. That's going to be huge. Or before the play starts on the field. That's going to be huge. Excited to see that. We also brought in some coaches this year. We brought in Matt Luke. Last year, one of our biggest spots where we needed improvement was our offensive line. Cade was getting sacked. He was getting hurried. Our rush game couldn't get established because our offensive line was hurting. And part of the problem was coaching. It felt like our coaches, offensive line coach specifically, weren't training, weren't developing, weren't fixing the players' problems. Well, Clemson answered that. We went out and hired Matt Luke, who is now our offensive line coach. Excited to see that. Since he's been here, he's made huge changes. He's had recruits come in, freshman recruits agree to come play for him. He's had offensive line players that are bragging about his play style and what great of a coach he is. I think he's going to be a great improvement to offensive line. But now, yesterday, it is announced that Clemson is now bringing in another football player, another coach to come in and be an assistant for the football team in Lorenzo Ward. If that name sounds familiar for you, it might sound familiar because Lorenzo Ward was the defensive coordinator for his University of South Carolina for about 4 years. I know, a Gamecock coming over to Clemson. You don't like to see that, but he is. He's coming over. He's going to be our new We don't know. We know he's coming to Clemson, but we don't know the role. It's I guess it's kind of speculated right now because mainly people are saying it because he changed his Twitter photo to him in a Clemson shirt, and then it was like a grandpa picture where it looked like. That's kind of what the picture was. But he was smiling real big. And then his profile or his cover photo on Twitter is just a zoom in picture of his shirt with the Clemson paw. So he's coming to Clemson. We're excited about it. Right now, what the role is kind of up in the air. I've heard a couple different things. I've heard he might be as a defensive analysis. I've heard he might be a defensive assistant. I also heard he might be a special executive assistant to Dabo Swinney. So what Lorenzo Ward's role is going to be is up in the air. Not exactly positive on what that role is going to be. All we do know is we know he's going to be a part of the Clemson football staff, according to multiple different outlets. What all he's done, going through his history, Clemson or Dabo's got some ties with Lorenzo Ward. They played together at Alabama when they both were college players. I'm excited about that. In 1889 they played together. And then he went on and he served as a graduate assistant in 1991 when Dabo was a junior. After that, he's had coaching stints at Chattanooga, at Virginia Tech, at Arkansas. And then in 2009, he joined as a defensive coordinator for South Carolina, and he was there till 2015. So he saw some good seasons, some bad seasons, but he was worth over there. After that, he became an assistant head coach for Louisville for 2 seasons. And when everything happened with Bobby Paterno happened in 2018 and he was fired, he was the head coach for a couple games there. After that, he joined Chattanooga, where he's been since then. He joined the Chattanooga staff for 5 seasons, helping them make a couple playoffs runs. Last year, he led them to the playoffs, beating 13 Austin Peay. They lost to Furman, number 7, in the second round. But overall, he has a successful history. He has a successful past. He also was a defensive back coach in the NFL for 1 year with Oakland. But he's been everywhere. He's traveled around. He's been all over the country, from South Carolina to California. Literally been everywhere in different coaching roles and different aspects. He's got a history with Dabo, so he knows Dabo's style. He's got a history in South Carolina football, being at South Carolina. I'm really excited about this hire. I think Lorenzo Ward's going to come in, and whatever role he's in, whatever that role ends up being, whether it's defensive analyst or assistant or executive assistant, whatever that role is going to be, I think he's going to do really well. I think he's going to bring experience. He's going to bring excitement. He's going to bring a new level and a new perspective of what all his experience encompasses. I think it's exciting. I'm really excited about what's going to happen and what he's going to do as he comes to Clemson and helps be a part of this coaching staff. Like we said, there's been some changes. Matt Luke, Lorenzo Ward, there's been some changes this offseason, and I think they're changes for the better. I think these changes are changes that we're excited to see that's going to come in, help establish, continue growing this culture. If there's one thing we know about Dabo, is Dabo Swinney, he looks for the Clemson personality. When he's recruiting, when he's transferring, which he doesn't transfer, when he's bringing in coaches, he looks for the guys that are the Clemson guys, the Clemson DNA, the great guys, the young men that he's going to help coach to be great men first, and then great football players second. The guys that fit that personality, that buy into the culture, that are all in for Clemson. He looks for those. And so the fact that he's bringing in Lorenzo Ward shows that he's got that personality. He's got that Clemson vibe. He's got that Clemson spirit. And we're excited about that. I'm excited about that. This is a good hire. Great news for Clemson today on this, yesterday when that news announced. We're excited. I'm ready to see the role. I think his role could be unique. If he comes in as an executive assistant for Dabo, what does that even look like? Is he just going to give Dabo advice on all? That could be interesting. If he's a defensive analyst, seeing the history and his experience and his background that he has coaching so many different defensive units, being able to analyze our defense and our opponent's defense and bringing it in for scouting, huge. Or if he's going to be a defensive assistant on the field coaching, maybe helping out our safeties, our linebackers, helping out a unit on defense. Either way, wherever he's at, I think it's going to be good. I'm really excited about that. I think this is a big hire. We should be excited about this. We should be really stoked and excited about this Lorenzo Ward hire. Lorenzo, welcome to the Clemson family. Glad to have you, man. In just a moment, we're going to continue this conversation, and we're going to talk about Flashback Friday, but also there was some pretty big news yesterday that came in regarding Clemson basketball. So we're going to talk about that and so much more in just a moment. All right. we got to keep going, and we got to say thank you to another one of our sponsors with Monopoly Go. Monopoly Go is an amazing game, and it is it is an awesome time. I know some of you are saying, like, really, we're talking about this? Yes, Monopoly Go is an amazing game. There's so much good stuff. In Monopoly Go, you can team up with your friends for time tournaments where you work together to build up each other's boards. The more you win together, the more awesome prizes you unlock. And there's so much to get. You can get unique stickers to trade with friends to complete albums for big prizes. You can get cool new playing pieces to travel the boards with, hilarious emojis for taunting friends when you smash their buildings or heist their vaults. Today, before the podcast, I was playing my wife. I heisted her vault and then sent some cool emojis over and was like, hey, gotcha. Plus, Monopoly Go feels new and exciting every day with constantly changing tournaments and challenges. A ton include their own unique mini games like digging for treasure or a robot machine, and there's always new timed events to help you win big, like massive multipliers for everything you win or even rent frenzies. There's always something fun to discover in Monopoly Go, so get off the bench, go download it now for free on the Google Play or the App Store. Again, Monopoly Go for free on the Google Play and App Store. Game on. So here we are on the Locked On Clemson podcast. Thanks so much for our sponsors. Hey, we've got to talk about some cool stuff. Before we dive into that Flashback Friday, yesterday we got some amazing news. So we're worried about PJ Hall going to the draft, right? If you're a Clemson basketball fan, that's got to be a worry on your mind. You've got to be like, how do we replace that? How do we replace that personality, that leadership, that skill level, that intensity? How do we replace that? Well, Brad Brownell, he's doing something Dabo doesn't do, and he's bringing in the transfers. First, he got a great transfer from Cincinnati. He went over there, and he got Victor Locken. Excited about him, a 4-star transfer coming from Cincinnati. He's a 6'9" center. I think he's going to bring an electric level. He's going to play. He's going to help fill that hole a little bit. And then he also went and got a shooting guard with Jaden Zachary to help fill Joseph Garrard not going to be there. Josh Beadle transferring out. Excited to see him come in as transfer. He's a 3-star transfer. So he already has brought in 2 really good transfers. Now, yesterday, the news broke about 4 o'clock. We are bringing in Brad went and got another transfer, this time from another ACC in-state or ACC rival. He brought in a Duke center, Christian Reeves, who's committed to Clemson out of the transfer portal. Christian Reeves, he's a 7'1" center. Really excited. He chose the Tigers over Florida, Oklahoma, and Vanderbilt. So really excited. He could have went and joined a former Clemson player over at Vanderbilt, but he didn't. Last year, or in the past 2 years, he's a junior. He's appeared in 16 games total. He hasn't, if you look at his stats, if you look at his averaging, it's not anything to blow you away. 1.6 points, 1 rebound, 47% from the field, 62% from the free throw. Overall, in the portal, he was the 420th overall player, 61st in the college basketball, 61st center. Overall, if you look at his stats, you're like, he's a big guy. Woo. No, I think he's going to bring some more level to that. I think he's going to be exciting. He's going to be a player that's going to be fun to watch. I think part of the reason that he's getting overshadowed, he's his low ranking, is one, look at who he's been consistent with. He's been at Duke 2 years as a tall center. Who else has been there for 2 years as a tall center? Kyle Filipowski. He's not going to get playing time with Kyle Filipowski there. Kyle Filipowski's a first-round draft pick. He's great. So he hasn't even played a lot. Plus, he had a pretty big ankle injury this year where he had to have a season-ending surgery on that ankle this year. So he hasn't had a lot of playing time. With Clemson, that's going to change. If he proves that he can come and play, he's going to get playing time. My guess is locked in. Victor Locken will get the starting job with Ian Shefflin, and then Christian Reeves will come off the bench. I could be wrong with that. With Locken being the same, a little bit shorter than Ian Shefflin, maybe Christian Reeves get the starting job and Locken comes in off the bench. I don't know, but I would guess Locken comes in. I think Christian Reeves is a good pickup. I think he's going to come. He's going to get some minutes. He's going to get some rebounds. He's a little lean. Hopefully our strength coach, hopefully Brad can put some muscle on him, help build it up a little bit more, help get that ankle injury modified. We don't want that to be bothering him anymore. Stay healthy. I think that's a good addition. We should be excited about that. Next week, we're going to have a guest on the Locked On Clemson podcast. We're going to have Michael over from Duke Blue Central, a great podcast. He's going to come over and he's going to talk about more about this prospect, more about Christian Reeves, more about what we can expect from him joining us over on Clemson Tigers. So we're excited to have Michael come on and join us in that conversation, highlighting Christian Reeves and who he is. And so that's our update. We just wanted to update you on that. We'll talk more about that later on further episodes. But today we want to end the episode with how we do every single Friday with a Flashback Friday. And so today, I'm not going to lie, it is May 10th. I did some of my research. I looked at like Clemson baseball's opponents that they've played on May 10th and saw if it lined up to any like huge team or any College World Series championship or any big rivalry. I looked at recruits and who recruits landed. I looked at who transfers have landed, who's announced are going to Clemson, staffing hires. I've looked at NBA championships through the years to see if we had any players on the rosters. I've looked at boxing championships, at hockey playoffs. I did my research for way too long, and what I found is May 10th is not an important day when it comes to Clemson. It's just we have some victories, but nothing major. I think our biggest victory I saw was we beat Coastal Carolina in like 2020. There's nothing really big in May 10th on this day in history, but there is a big day if you're a sports fan in general. May 10th is the day that Tom Brady announced he was going to Tampa Bay, so there's something for you. That's a big moment. That today, May 10th, Tom Brady had a big day in history. If you're out there and you're a Tom Brady lover, there you go. That's for you. Just wanted you to have that. But no, so today's Flashback Friday, not as fun. Not anything about Clemson, unfortunately. Hopefully next week, May 17th, there'll be a little bit more. We'll see. But with all that being said, that is going to wrap up this edition of the Locked On Clemson podcast. Hey, Monday's episode, make sure you join us Monday. We're going to kick it back off next week. Diving into football, diving into the baseball series, talking about all that and so much more. Let me know your thoughts on today's topics. What's your thoughts on our defense? Is there a player that I didn't include in my top 5 that you would have included? Hit us up on Twitter. Send us a message over on our email at thetigerwire@gmail.com. Let me know we'd love to hear your feedback. We'd love to hear your thoughts. If you haven't, make sure you subscribe to this podcast wherever you get your podcast. And if you're watching over on YouTube, hit that subscribe button. That way, every single day, no matter where you listen, this can be your first listen here on the Locked On Clemson podcast. Thanks so much. We can't wait to see you next week on the next episode of the Locked On Clemson podcast. And until then, keep that Tiger pride alive and roaring. And as always, go Tigers.